Hello.
What's up,
Wait,
everyone?
why can I hear myself?
That's a good question. Probably because you have the.
Oh no, because I heard it from your screen.
Oh,
Anyway, hello everyone. Yes, my name is Avela, and today I have with me this weird person.
yes. My name is Strike. I do Star Wars.
Yes, and today we are doing Star Wars Rebels.
Yes.
Yes, so, well, first of all, this stream is a bit later than usual, so hopefully some of you can still come here and look and talk with us. But yes, yes. So we watched Rebels again. I watched it like pretty much like after season 4 came out or something. What that one was that? I have absolutely no idea, but pretty long time ago. When did you last watch it?
I don't exactly know when I last watched it. I only know that I like watched most of it like when it was still like on Disney XD, and I didn't watch it on Disney XD. I just like sort of watched it whenever it was on like a free channel on TV. And then at some point I watched all of it like again, but that must also be possibly even like 5 years ago at this point, maybe.
Okay.
Um, I mean, sometimes watch like singular episodes, but I don't think I ever like since then, apart from us two now having rewatched all of it. But before that, I don't think I rewatched all of it again.
Yeah, I only watched it once and I bought them all on like DVD. So that's like how I watched them. And I think the reason why I didn't rewatch was because on the Finnish Disney Plus we don't have season 4 because there's no Finnish dub of it because of some issues with like rights or whatever. So then they just didn't put it there, which is so stupid. So yeah, but now we were able to watch it from the German Disney Plus.
Yes.
Hello. Yes, it's about to be midnight here, so
Yeah.
a bit later.
Time difference.
Yes. But yeah, like from what I remembered, I like remembered that I liked most of it, but that a lot of it I also was like, I don't know. So I guess I didn't have too high expectations coming into this because, well, I don't have very good memory, so I kind of forgot everything. I just had some like small memories here and there. And then actually when we were watching, then like Strike said something like, "Oh, this is when this happened." And I'm like, "What? Why did you spoil me?"
Yeah, your mic I think just went really quiet for a sec. Can you repeat
Oh,
that?
that when
No,
we
the
were
mic. Okay, the
watching.
mic is like really quiet in general.
What? Okay, my headset is like breaking right now because it's having weird
Yeah,
stuff.
I mean,
Is
like
it
I can
okay?
hear you, but it just went really quiet for a sec.
Okay,
Yes,
well, we'll just have to deal with it.
peeps, bear with us. The headset is a bit on life
Yeah,
support at the
it
moment.
started having some weird sounds today.
Yeah.
Oh, hello. Yes,
Yes.
did you hear what I said
No,
that
I
you
mean,
were
I
spoiling
got
me?
the yeah. Like sometimes I was like, because like usually with I mean, especially like that kind of stuff where I have a pretty good memory of like what happened, like even in sort of detail. So I was like not even really thinking about it that much. I was just sort of like, oh yeah, like now this is going to happen. And then she was like, what? I thought that was way later. Or like, I
Yeah.
don't remember. Yeah. And then I just stopped making comments.
Yes.
Yes.
I love Rebels. Jessica and I are watching it through for her first time now. Nice. I
Oh,
hope
well,
she enjoys it. Just scream at the top of your lungs.
good
Well,
idea.
I don't want to wake up everyone. It's midnight, so yes. I think we will start this by talking about like each season, kind of a
Hmm.
little bit. So, season 1.
Season one. Do you want me to start?
Hello.
Hey, what's up?
No, I can just say that like everyone always says with Clone Wars and Rebels that season 1 is like bad and then it gets better. But actually, I would say season 1 is almost my favorite out of all of them. Like it
Yeah,
was just really good overall.
yeah.
Hello.
No, I would also say, like, for me, I think, before going into the details, but for me, honestly, I think season 1 might also be my favorite one, then probably the second one, and then the third would be the fourth and last one.
Yeah, that would be my
Um,
ranking as well.
and third is last. But yeah, I definitely don't agree when people are like, "Yeah, no, the first seasons are, the bad ones again." It's like, no, not
Yeah.
really at all, actually.
Yeah, there's just a lot of good like sort of character development or getting to know the characters.
Yeah,
And I mean even though there is like a filler like in all the other seasons too, but it's like not like well even though it doesn't bring the main story forward, you still always learn something about the characters and
yeah.
it still makes sense in the chronological order. Oh, yes, thank you. I'm glad someone noticed.
Yes.
Oh, hello. Yes, Rebels, it has some Ahsoka moments, which we will get to eventually. Yes, do you have anything else about season one?
Um, well, oh, are we going into detail about season 1 now?
Well, no, but if you just have any like
Oh, no,
highlights
I mean,
or low points or whatever.
right. No, I mean, overall, I mean, as I said, like, I really enjoyed it watching now again. In general, the only thing that sort of surprised me, like, I remembered pretty much, like, all of sort of the story points and in the order, but, I don't know, at least in my memory, I remembered it being a bit more dragged out, which
Yeah,
actually it
yeah,
wasn't at all. Like, it was a very compact, not that it was short, because the first season isn't short, but it was really, like, had a really nice rhythm to it, and, I really enjoyed watching it.
yeah. I also remember like sort of being almost not bored, but like sort of being like, is this going anywhere? But I mean, it really didn't feel like that at all
No.
this time around. So yeah. Hello. I love the Ralph McQuire influence and propaganda on Natal in season one.
Mm,
Yeah, it's definitely has so many like references to Ralph McQuire's work. So
yeah.
I mean, good and bad, I would say.
Right, yeah, I mean, there is the influence of, like, the art style, which is I still I don't mind it as much as I remember I used to, but,
Yeah,
still, I feel like this would have been way better if they just chose to do Clone Wars animation.
yeah. Season one is the Grand Inquisitor season. He's great for such a short time on screen. Yeah, I did really really like him as a villain.
Yeah. Which kind of made me, like, even more upset now that he wasn't really great in live action, so
The short time is what makes him cool. I mean, it also, yeah, I guess makes sense because you don't really want those villains that you just drag out. Then time and time again, they like survive
yeah.
and stuff.
But, I mean, it's also, like, he didn't have, I guess, a lot of screen time, but he also didn't have, like, just a tiny bit. But, I mean, it was always, like, impactful when he was there.
And he even decapitated two people,
Yeah. No.
like on screen.
Mhm. Yep.
Oh, true. Oh, 03 Clone Wars art is better than 08 Clone Wars art is better than Rebels art. Well, yeah, I guess. Or I mean, I don't really like the 2D too much for
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
mean,
stuff,
I
but
like it, but I don't know if I like it better than Clone Wars.
appreciate how Rebels looks, but it still is funky at first. Yeah,
Yeah.
and just sort of the light work that you can do in the Clone Wars style and Bad Batch you can't really do in this one. So
Yeah.
yeah, but then I guess season two, that's the one where um something happens.
Well, I mean,
My good memory at work again.
do you want me to sum it up real quick? So, I mean, essentially, it starts off pretty much with Vader, like they're stuck on Lothal, and then Vader shows up. So it starts off swinging, and it's also the season where we get Rex and Wolf and Gregor for the first time, and yeah, we also get like the fifth brother and the seventh sister, and that whole thing goes
And
on, and we
Ahsoka?
get the Conquer Dawn, protectors,
Oh, okay.
um, yeah, with Fen Rao,
Yeah, and
and
Ahsoka shows up in season one already, right?
yeah, she already shows up in season one.
Like that
Season
was
two
also
is
really surprising to me. I
see,
didn't remember that she showed
you
up
got to
that early.
remember, season two is also where she disappears again. This is the fight with
Yeah, okay.
Vader on Malachor. Yeah, which also
Yeah.
means this is the introduction of Maul. So, yeah, season two is also a big win,
Yeah,
in
a
my
lot
book.
of stuff.
Yeah,
Setting up like future like plot lines as well, I think. Appreciate that they tried a new art style, but it falls flat to me compared to how amazing Clone Wars and Bad Batch art is. Yeah, that's honestly like the one thing that usually puts people off from watching Rebels is it just looks a bit more like childish, I guess.
yeah. Like
So
for
then
instance,
they,
stormtroopers
you know,
look very goofy, like that
yeah, a
sort
lot
of
of
thing.
the existing stuff looks goofy, but we'll
Yeah.
talk a bit more about that later. But yeah, season two, very good.
Yes.
Really, no complaints.
No, really not. And also, like, really, honestly, I feel like season one and two really didn't have any active filler. Like there was some things. I mean, we'll
No,
we'll
I
go
mean,
into detail about that. Well, filler in a negative way. No filler in a negative
yeah,
way.
but I mean, it's still filler, but it's like that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, right. I suppose. I
Yeah,
just wouldn't even qualify it as filler if it has character development.
yeah, but it doesn't like filler is if it doesn't drive the main like story plot line of the show, then
Yeah,
it's filler.
I
But
suppose.
and like nowadays, it's just given
Yeah, I
a
just
very
don't like
bad
calling it that
connotation.
anymore because like it has such a negative twist to it now because most people
Yeah,
don't understand what it means.
well,
So,
because nowadays people write filler in a boring way,
yeah.
and where it actually just doesn't give you anything.
Yes. But yeah, season oh,
Rebels did actually take a lot of risk with plot, lore, and art. Now that I think about it, yeah, they definitely did, and most of it worked out, I think. But yeah, I mean, season two, very good, and then season three, this is the one where we had, I think, the most sort of complaints. Still not a lot, but some episodes were just like I don't know, like
well, I mean,
how to describe it.
first and foremost, it was the introduction of Bendu, which we both really don't like in that
Yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Um, the concept is a bit funky, a little bit.
yeah. I mean, it makes sense because he's like a force essence, but he's saying that he's in the middle. Like
Yeah,
I'm not dark or light. I'm in the middle. But then he says that he follows the will of the force. But from everything else we've learned and what George has said, like the will of the force is like the light side. So
yeah,
it doesn't really make sense. It's kind of contradicting itself there. But I'm
yeah.
giving it a pass because he's like a force essence. So
And I mean, he seemed to be a bit confused about, morality in the end too. So maybe he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
yeah, maybe he's just a bit goofy.
Yeah. But I
Oh,
mean, also
hello.
not to say that there wasn't anything good because, like, for instance, we also got like the abandoned CIS ship. It was a lot of random stuff again. It was also like with the Night Sisters and Maul, like that whole Maul arc
Oh,
had a lot of fun
yeah.
stuff, and also
Oh, with
like
Ezra
Saw,
going like dark almost.
yeah, and like also Saw Gerrera on Geonosis. Um, yeah, no, I mean it definitely had some good stuff too. And I mean, obviously, also the attack on the hidden rebel base.
Yeah. The father was balanced, daughter was light, son was dark. Yeah, I mean, there it makes more sense, but Bendu is saying that he's following the will of the Force, sort of. But yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff is always a bit weird
Well,
to
and also like
understand.
Mortis like isn't, like that's not. I mean, there's obviously a lot of mystery about it, but the real purpose of Mortis is to show the chosen one his role.
Yeah,
And like kind of, I mean, the whole thing is supposed to show that the dark side, the brother, will, you know, uh, like
destroy the.
destroy everything if
Yeah,
he's being allowed to exist,
Yeah.
and if he's allowed to compromise the good slash, I mean, the
Yeah.
son kills the sister, so yeah, so
Dave the Wolf Lover also brought back a lot of stuff from Legends, like the Interceptor Cruiser or the Defender, and I mean Thrawn as well.
Thrawn, yeah, who is also being
The
shown in
Wolf.
a very um competent way in this season. Like he literally almost completely accomplishes to beat the rebels, and the only reason why they get away is because Admiral Constantine is like being cocky and lets the rebel cruiser
Yeah,
crash into
and
him.
Bendu.
Right, and Bennu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there was something else also in season 3 where I at some point was like, okay, like I don't really like this episode. I don't remember anymore even what it was.
Well, the thing is, we have a lot of episodes with Sabine, and we have the episode with Sabine and her friend.
Oh,
I
ketchup.
think
No,
I'm
I
pretty
think that one
sure.
is. I think that was in season 2, but I didn't
Or is
mind
that
that
in season
episode.
two?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's in season 2.
Yeah, maybe. Um, yeah, I mean, we do get like a lot of stuff too. Like, I mean, Chem and like the rescue of Mon Mothma,
Oh yeah, no, I
which
didn't
that was like
like
a big
those
one
things.
where we're both like, ooh, wonder if that's at least slightly going to be, tipped in Andor season two.
Yeah,
Because I mean, we're gonna
kids too. Oh
reach
no.
that point where she flees from the Empire.
Yeah, I called her ketchup.
Yeah, I mean, she's a piece of work.
Yeah, I mean, actually, Rebels has a lot of really good original characters, but I would say she's not really one of them. She doesn't really do anything for me. I
No.
don't really like. I don't hate her, but I also don't. I could survive without that character.
Yeah. I think the main reason why it was also sort of meh is because like Sabine already has like that's I think one thing that surprisingly enough, like for instance, like characters like Ezra really stood out how good they were,
Yeah,
and like Zeb too. Honestly, I like Zeb. Hera, obviously, just a very competent and well written character in her skills and like her competence. But then, like for instance, like Sabine, time and time again, just seems very over the top and OP, because it seems
yeah,
like anytime someone like is not able to do something, she suddenly has like an engineering degree, and she was the A student in the Imperial Academy, and she knows how to fly, and she knows how to explode things, and she knows how to shoot, she knows how to do parkour, she knows how to fly. She's a Mandalorian. She was a bounty hunter.
she's an explosive expert.
Yeah, like it's like okay, at some point the list should end,
Yeah, and she's
realistically.
also like young. She's only a
Yeah,
bit older than Ezra, so.
exactly. So that was like probably the only one where we're both kind of like, yeah, maybe
Was it
tone it down a
season?
little
Yeah,
bit.
it was season 3.
Yeah,
Yeah.
was
Okay. Yeah.
um
Yeah, because like she was away um, when their base
yeah,
got attacked.
right, and
Yeah,
it's
that's
right
right. Like
when they go. Well,
that whole thing. Like
no,
just
the Battle of Mandalore is not season three, but
oh,
this
is it only she coming back
it's
there?
only getting like like staying at her mom's place, because this is like when the
Oh,
rebel base gets attacked, like they send off like a few Mandalorians to help them like break through the fleet. And then in season 4 in the beginning, that's when they try to save Sabine's
oh,
father,
okay.
and yeah, that whole thing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we can talk a bit more about that when we get to season 4. Oh, which season was this in? Was it like season 2? That Seb and Force relationship with his plan. That was also a bit out there. I already forgot about that one actually.
Yeah. Oh, when he like just yanks his staff into like
The
the
Laura
control
San or
panel of the
or what was it?
ghost. Yeah, that was one thing where we were both like, that shouldn't work." Like, yeah.
Yeah,
No, I mean, there are
yeah,
definitely these sort of like very spiritual aspects where I think
yeah. But
Dave
then,
went maybe a bit crazy.
yeah, I remember there was like something I said to make it make sense for me, but I don't remember anymore what it was.
No, I think you just said like, yeah, I mean it's like this like ancient like staff thing or whatever.
Oh yeah, I think that's what I.
Dave Maloney enters the chat. Great point.
There he is with his wolf.
Uh,
Oh, and this.
hail the maker. uh,
And there is always one thing that Ron forgets. Back in the day, it was the Nogri, and then it was the Medu. Or I mean, he doesn't forget. He just isn't aware, and there is no way
yeah,
he could have predicted that. So
yeah. I
Sabine
mean,
was 16.
Thrawn. Yeah, I mean that's like no
Okay,
way, just
so
no
he
way.
she was supposed to be like a top Imperial student, like genius engineer
I mean, what? How
person,
old
and then
must
she
she
was
have
a
been? Like
bounty.
12 when she made the weapon? Are you kidding me? Like, I mean, with at probably at like 9 years old, she ran away like, "Mommy, I don't want to fight for you anymore."
Hello. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So then, in I guess we should just move to season 4. That's like
yeah,
more about the Mandalore stuff, and they're like the whole thing with her and the Mandalorians just didn't make sense to me, like why they were against her, and or
yeah.
like a lot of it just seemed a bit like strange.
Well, yeah. I mean, there were like just things that contradicted it because, like, at first, um, like, like Sabine said that her family banished her because she was, working for the Empire at the time and made this weapon.
Yeah.
But then on the other hand, her family is was already loyal to the Empire, so they were obviously sending her off to be at the
Yeah.
academy. So how are you mad at her for doing what you're making her do? Like that's just something that doesn't really make any sense. But yeah.
Oh, wrong one.
Oh god, Dave
Yes,
himself in the
we
chat, and
do
Dave is
indeed.
already offering him a job at That's how easy it is.
Uh, Come on, she learned multiple languages, learned fighting, and constructed an anti-Beskar weapon in just 16 years. Yeah, forgot about
Well,
the language thing. She was being speaking
oh,
Aqualish or something
yes.
in one of the
Yep.
episodes. Like
Mhm.
what?
No, it's not even 16 years. You can't, start learning all this stuff when you're a baby. So, yeah.
Yeah, we'll get to Sabine a bit more later. But I mean, season 4, I think was like, yeah. I mean, as we said in the beginning, I would rank it as third best for me.
Yeah.
Like it was, I would say, solid.
Yeah,
And I
it
mean,
was
it also
solid, yeah.
has a lot of like interesting stuff with Lothal and the
Right.
wolves and that stuff. But I mean, it worked, I would say.
Yeah. No, definitely. And I think especially season 4 in the beginning, it does like after the Mandalore thing, um it actually does a really good job at feeling like the rebels lose or that they're just, you know,
Yeah,
like really getting crushed by the empire. The empire feels more powerful than ever, which is makes sense for the time frame we're in because we're still a good bit before a new hope. So
yeah. And even I mean, Hera gets captured,
right.
and everyone except what was that little kid's name?
Well, and also now that I think about it, I mean, Kanan dies in season 3,
3? No,
or is it no or
season 4.
season
I
wait.
remember it was in the finale, but it was like 3 or 4
Oh yeah,
episodes
no, no, no,
before
no.
the
Yeah,
finale.
excuse me. It's like close to the end,
Yeah.
or I mean, not really. It's like second half of the fourth season. Sorry,
Yeah, I
getting that
was really
right.
surprised when that happened because I remembered for some reason I had the memory that it was in the
Yeah.
final episode. But I mean, oh no,
Oh
sorry, Dave
no,
Filoni.
I'm so sorry. We spoiled you of the show that you wrote. I'm so
And I
sorry.
agree, Maul, definitely.
Yeah,
Lot cats are very cute.
yeah. No, but yeah, like definitely a solid ending for Rebels, and yeah, as I said, also for me, it's probably third in terms of seasons. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess that was all the seasons, maybe.
Yep.
So we can start talking about the characters. I will just do some very nice changes over here. There we go. There is our first character,
All right.
Mr. Ezra Bridger. And I remember, like, from the first one, I mean, I had like an opinion of these characters that I just like sort of remembered. But I remember that I was thinking that, like, I mean, I didn't really have much of an opinion of him. He was like, he was just there, sort of. But actually, watching this, I really appreciate him a lot. And he's from the Ghost crew, definitely my second favorite after Hera. So, which was actually a bit surprising because I remembered him being sort of annoying or something, which I didn't really see at all here. So, yeah.
Yeah, for me too, honestly. I mean, I had sort of, I mean, not necessarily. I mean, Rebels was just, not my thing necessarily. But yeah, I mean, honestly, watching this, like Ezra was just for one really well written character.
Yeah.
I really like the characteristics that he brought to the table, and he definitely, like, by far has probably the biggest overarching like arc
Yeah, I
about
mean,
his
he's like
character, because we
main
literally see him grow
character.
up pretty much.
Yeah.
And it really like goes a long way of like seeing him, being this lost boy who's just trying to sort of survive and like kind of live with the fact that his parents are gone.
Yeah.
um, and then getting picked up by the ghost crew and being taught to care for others, and then really becomes like, from being fairly selfish, becomes one of the most loyalty driven characters in Star
Yeah.
Wars, probably. And also like his you know I guess his empathy I really like for.
Yeah, and the connection with animals too.
Well, exactly, like the empathy not only for people but for animals
Yeah.
too. Like I really like that. So yeah, I mean, I think Ezra is a big win. He's probably my favorite actually from the original characters from Rebels.
Yeah, that makes sense. Anyone know where he got the green lightsaber from? I mean, he found the crystal and then he built the second one, right?
Well, I mean, we actually don't see where he got the green crystal
Oh, that's true.
because
Well,
his
maybe he found
blue
it like
lightsaber
in
get
between.
got swooshed by Vader.
Yeah. Or then he bled it green.
That's not how the force works. Um, yeah, who knows? But I mean,
It's interesting to see the generation right after the initial rebels. He's one of the first orphans of the rebellion. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and actually, like him, like losing his parents, like I remembered obviously that like they were dead, but then we find out that they literally died like a couple weeks before he was able to sort of find them, I guess.
yeah,
So they were alive all this time in the prison. Like
yeah.
that was like so much more even heartbreaking than.
Yeah. I'm sure, like, I mean, it's not like it wasn't there, but I feel like it is sort of that nuance thing, which as a kid you don't usually pick up on that, but
Yeah.
now, like, being a bit more concentrated on it and like picking up on that stuff, like, yeah, like when we heard that, we were both like, what? They were like still
Yeah.
alive? Like that is so dark, and I mean,
Yeah.
rightfully so. Like, I mean, Ezra was just destroyed. Like,
Yeah. And I like that, like how much of a role it still had, the fact that he lost his parents and stuff, because I mean it makes sense and it's important for his character and stuff. So
yeah.
yeah. Hello, what's going on? Just checking in during my lunch break. We are talking about Rebels because we rewatched it and we were a bit surprised of how much we liked it. And fauna in general is a subject for itself. Yeah, agreed. There is a lot of interesting creatures in Rebels. But anything else about Ezra? I don't know.
Um.
I would also like that he is not like OP, like we talked about Sabine. Like he, learns and then he makes mistakes and he's not perfect from the beginning. Like very easily loses concentration also with his training in the beginning and stuff.
Yeah.
Then he becomes very skilled in the end.
Yeah, but like, right, like at the very end, but I also like, I mean, what you said, like it really, like, you get that making mistakes, learning from them, and because of that, becoming better.
Yeah.
But also, like, I feel like once he, like, sort of, stepped up his game from one sort of stage, then usually he ran into new problems he was making for himself. Like, for instance, once he got, like, a bit better, like, especially with the training with the Darksaber with Sabine, you could tell he got very cocky
Yeah.
because, like, he was, like, getting better. But then on the other hand, then you get unaware of certain things and you feel too confident. So I liked, and I mean, that's really realistic, like when you first acquire those new skills and you're good at something, then usually you're like, you have that adrenaline rush of being good, and then you overestimate your
Yeah.
skills. So yeah, no, really really like that aspect of how his character is written.
And yeah, the first saber is I mean it's interesting, but
As
yeah.
Kane says, it fit him at the time,
Yeah.
but yeah, I do prefer his green lightsaber.
He always came up with the solution in the first seasons. I like how you really see how he was driven to the dark side after Malachor. Yeah, he
Yeah.
does have like a pretty major struggle with the dark side. I mean, he also starts like, is it beginning of, well, the one when they're like saving Hondo and the
Oh, no,
I don't
no,
know.
but that's after. So, I mean, the thing is, it's not like Ezra started doing that on his own. I mean, it really started with Maul starting
In the
to
Holocaust.
just sort of tip those strings and start manipulating him. So, I think
Yeah,
it just really goes to show how powerful the dark side is in manipulating the light
and
side
how
and trying
tempting it is.
to poison it with the dark side, because like Ezra was completely fine before it. It was really once he was, tempted by the Sith holocron and what Maul was
Yeah,
saying, like that's what made him struggle for so long.
yeah, and I mean, he was sort of still trying to use it for good, but I mean,
Yeah,
that's usually how it starts anyway, where he was
right,
like, if I become more powerful, I can save my friends, sort of
right,
thing. Yeah, like at one point where he was using like dark side powers to get away and stuff. Remember, like the first time watching this, I was like kind of scared that he would go bad, but it was actually, I think, still now watching it again, you could still see that he wouldn't, because he never actually went full dark side, sort of.
right. I mean, not to say that he wasn't going down a dangerous path,
No,
especially
he
once he
was.
like was in that point. I think that was probably the peak when he was just in his attitude, very like
Yeah,
frustrated and like angered. It was like almost, like angry level of Anakin sometimes.
yeah,
In that sense, like sort of like it's all Obi-Wan's fault. That was like sort of almost the
yeah,
point that it reached. Um so but yeah, I mean it goes again like and then I thought it was really nice to see the backup he got from the Ghost crew.
yeah,
Like really what pulled him back was his roots to family.
yeah,
Um and then also just accepting that it is not worth it, that it will he will lose himself if he continues down his this path.
yeah,
um
yeah. It
yeah,
was well done. I think the last thing I have to say about Ezra is also I remember that I was a bit annoyed that he was sort of in all these important moments, like with Ahsoka versus Vader, and then Obi-Wan versus Maul, and he was always involved. But like now watching it, it just makes a lot of sense. So like I don't mind it at all, because that was something I remember being like, this is such a cool moment, but why is Ezra here? Like he's always, you know, in here.
hmm,
But I mean, it makes sense. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Oh yeah, true. Ezra was start from the early the Grand Inquisitor on the asteroid with the creatures afraid of light. He used the dark side to control the Alpha to attack the Grand Inquisitor to by time. But that was like sort of he didn't know what it was, and he was
right,
like afraid, and it sort of happened,
yeah.
I guess.
I mean that's right, yeah. I mean definitely that's like those things were usually then the master. I mean Kanan did say that to him too. That's like those moments when your emotions take over, and
Yeah,
that in itself isn't a completely bad thing in the beginning, because like yeah, as you said, like he didn't do it because he knew, it was a bad thing that he just had to do to save him. He literally just his emotions were like, all right, this I'm doing this, and so I'm like, mind controlling or like making that connection to this big thing.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, I do think truly, yeah, what Max is just saying, like Maul was manipulating him, and that really started him to go down this rabbit hole.
Yeah, I mean at that point he already knew it was wrong. So
Mm,
I mean when the thing happened on the like asteroid thing, like he
yeah.
was like afraid and he wasn't aware that there was a thing like the dark side. So
Yeah, and I mean, then also like for the longest time until Maul, there were no other situations where that happened. So
yeah. Okay, but then let's move on to the next one, which is the one we see back behind him. So Kanan, and so I remembered I had like the image I had of him was that I liked him more, but now I'm kind of uh, like he can almost be a bit mean sometimes, and he definitely becomes more likable once he becomes blind, and I guess that's
yeah,
probably the point also. And
I was about to say too. Like I think I like him more when he's blind.
yeah, because he's I don't know what the right word is for, but he's just sort of a bit like mean.
No, I mean no, I think it's safe to say he is genuinely an asshole sometimes.
Yeah, I
Like
guess that's
there
the
are
word.
certain moments, like either to Ezra or even to Hera,
Yeah.
where he's being a general dick. Um, and I
Kanan the
think he really
cowboy
lost
Jedi.
that attitude after getting blind. I think it humbled him in a way.
Yeah. See, that was like the Force who wanted him to become blind because
Yeah.
that like made him just see things differently.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
mean also
definitely
like
improved after becoming blind. Yeah.
I mean, I like while yeah, Kanan isn't my favorite, I do like the concept of that sort of, that survivor, but as a Padawan of Order 66. The Jedi that's not,
Hello.
fully trained, but now has to train someone even though he himself doesn't have full
Yeah.
training himself. So, um I like that aspect of him kind of also like kind of just figuring it out on the way, sort of. Um but
Yeah.
yeah, 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 I would definitely say that I prefer blind him also just because it teaches him a big lesson
Yeah.
of like it actually teaches him to see, in the actual sort of in a more grander way than he could have ever achieved in his
Yeah.
original mindset. So, yeah.
Yeah. And then something I noticed this time watching is like when they leave to go to like Malachor where he is blinded. Yeah. So then like the last thing he says to Hera is like, "We'll see each other again." Like that's definitely done on purpose. I was like, "Oh, I see what you did there."
Yeah, Dave, you cheeky. Yeah, no, definitely. It's like poetry, it rhymes.
Yeah, and yeah, no, I like the what you said about him not being fully trained because at times he's sort of doubting himself as well. I mean, he even tries to find when he hears about Luminara being like there still. He's like, we'll find you a better master because like I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, right, which is really like the thing of like him. It's sort of that like Ezra needs Kanan because of the emotional connection to him, but Kanan
Yeah,
himself sees it more as like, no, I need someone who, has the skills, who is like objectively, better than me in that way, sort of,
yeah,
or like in at least Jedi wise, not person wise. But then even Ezra like tells him himself, like, or I don't know if at that point, but later on, like, you've been teaching me, like, he's not only teaching him how to be a Jedi, but how to be a good person.
yeah,
Um, and that whole thing I think is also well done.
yeah. And that happens pretty early on. I think that was something I really liked.
Yeah.
A nice stream to watch while I clean my stormtrooper with baby wipes. This is totally Disney canon.
I'm
I
just
believe
imagining like in the
it.
cantina, the Imperial cantina, just a bunch of stormtroopers like very
Yes,
well.
yes. And
Um,
then I mean, Kanan mean, he sacrifices himself for his family,
Yeah.
and it was just also very sad because he finally, or like Hera and him were finally okay. Like we like each other, even though, like, I mean, to me they just seemed like mom and dad like the entire season. So I don't know why it took so long, but
All of the seasons. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that's one thing that did confuse me too, because like since season one, like Hera always calls him love, and like only him, not like everyone. I know like
yeah,
there could be, some characters that just say that to everyone, but she only says that to Kanan. I mean,
yeah, and when
Kanan is
they
also like sort of acting, like there's something going on.
yeah when they went to like Rylos and to meet Cham, he was like really
Right. He was like
like
sort of like to Ezra, like, "How do I look?" And Ezra's like, "Why?" Sort of like that. Oh, I'm gonna see, my girl's dad. Like,
yeah, yeah. So like I guess they just made that just before he died just to make it like sting even more, I guess.
yeah.
Girl asked me invite to a convention and they're always mocking me with one being too short and two being too dirty. Oh
What?
no.
That's battle damage. Just tell him you're actually on the battlefield.
Yes. Anything else about Kanan?
um, I mean that's
I like that he died. It was
it
done
was a
well.
good end. No, I mean it was
Yeah.
genuinely a good end. He sacrificed himself to save the others. That was his
Fulfilled his
purpose.
purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was clearly like connected to Lothal, and he was supposed to be there and supposed to do that.
Yeah. I mean, that was like also like the whole thing with like that. I mean, I guess. I mean, it's still, I mean, there's a lot of debate about it, or I guess there's just a lot of there's no certainty about it, but it seems like he's now one with the Force as like that grand loaf wolf.
Yeah, or like sort of.
No, not
Yeah,
the
like that
white
was.
one, like the big
Yeah, no,
big
I
one that
know
only appears once
the
in
one that
that
actually
vision.
speaks, other than
Yeah.
doom.
Yeah, but I mean that like also the white one says that like when he's still alive, but then there's like that really big one when Ezra's having that sort of vision dream
Yeah,
with them. So yeah, it does seem like he's sort of become one with the Force and like strong connection to Lothal.
yeah. His sacrifice
Yep.
put an end to the TIE Defender part. Yeah,
Well,
that's true.
technically, Price took that multi kill of fuel tanks with her, but yeah.
I was confused by the wolf idea, but yeah, Dave likes his wolves. Yeah, it was like bit interesting, but I think at least how I make it work in my head is that it's just a special thing for this planet that's just very connected to the forest and has creatures that are very connected to the forest. And
Yeah.
like with the, I mean, word between words and like the portals that the wolves use, it's sort of just like a
Yeah.
forest
It,
thing
it
that
would
just happens because the
It would
forest.
be interesting to hear more about it because it did seem like because like I mean Kanan didn't even know that there was a temple there, and the
Yeah,
temple also in its way of construction seemed very old, like that sort of way
yeah,
of like a master and an apprentice like using the force to lift it up and opening the doorway. It seemed like a concept that would be very early on with the Jedi and sort of, like you have to, use the Force to enter,
yeah,
and then also, yes, obviously with like the big wall painting and entrance portal with, the Mortis, you know, the Mortis gods. Like, yeah, it seems like there's just a very big connection to the Force with the planet itself. So, yeah, for I guess the planet itself that's sort of also like traveling through the planet with the loaf walls. Like it's a mystical thing. It's definitely funky in that way, but yeah, I think for it being only on that planet it works. But yeah, like pretty old because like also there are like masters and like there are like dead masters in there, but they didn't
yeah,
get killed. They just, their Padawans never returned, and I feel like that's really a concept where it is like that, you know extreme seems like a
Yeah.
concept that would be very early on with the Jedi, where
Yeah,
it's
that
really
would
like
not have
you're
happened during.
bonded to your Padawan, and if he doesn't come out, you die. You know, like you
Yeah.
wait until the end. Yeah,
The wolves fight just like the boys.
Rep the
Yeah, it's big
104.
sad.
Yeah,
Oh, hello, Life Day buddy.
Charlie.
Yes, I mean that. I mean it is really sad. I mean the whole how they do Kanan dying, and then I mean,
Yeah,
like I remember it being the last episode, but it makes so much sense, more sense that it's like this because then we see like the how the characters process it. I mean that's otherwise you wouldn't get any sort of
yeah.
character growth from it. So yeah,
I think what really that first scene obviously was crushing, but then there was like a second wave to it when they arrived. I think it's the next episode, and like they land, and Zeb wasn't on
yeah,
the mission, so he doesn't know what happened. And at
yeah.
first, Zeb is sort of like, oh, what happened? Like sort of like, kind of
Like
trying
where's
to joke
Kanan?
like, oh, what fucked up this time?
Yeah,
But then sort of sees how everyone is like just
they're yeah,
unusually negatively or like
and they're
sad.
ignoring him.
Or well, yeah, ignoring him, and then Ezra, like, walks up and, like, Kanan's gone, and then, like, Zeb is also like, "He's captured?" He's not even, like,
Yeah,
debating on it being final like that, but, yeah. I mean, then when Ezra, like, confirms, like, "Yeah, he's dead," like, I like that Zeb then, like, hugged him, like, that sort of bond with the crew,
yeah.
yeah.
At least they kill a Jedi off. I feel like all Jedi Disney has an has an unsurvived except Kanan. Yeah, I
Yeah.
said that also. What I liked about Kanan is that he died. Like we just, I mean, if they survive Order 66, but they're still being hunted all the time and stuff, and it's
Yeah,
dangerous to live this kind of life where you're like living as a Jedi during this time. So
yeah.
it makes
And I
sense.
mean, yeah, and I mean, I still also like this is like sort of also we haven't quite reached the point where it's like too much. I mean, it's getting there, but I do like the way of like if a Jedi and an apprentice were on a mission and Order 66 kicked in, then usually if there was a survivor, it was the Padawan because the Master stayed back to give the Padawan some time.
Yeah,
So I do like that they're at least approaching that on a realistic level because yeah, I mean, like for instance, Cal would be so dead if Jar Tapal didn't
yeah.
sacrifice himself for him and stuff.
We have
So
too many Jedi. I don't know. I mean, Luke being the last. Yeah, but I mean, I'm still hoping that by the time of like Return of the Jedi, then pretty much everyone would be dead or then like away, sort of like Ezra, who's somewhere like in the
or
unknown
just
regions and stuff.
really hiding and giving up the
Yeah,
ways of the Jedi because I mean yeah, realistically, I mean Yoda can't know, you know. I mean at that point, just I mean realistically, it's as good as being the last,
yeah,
Jedi, or at least Luke is definitely the last Jedi openly at that
yeah.
point,
Because I
openly
mean,
in that point of time, because we don't know where Cal's story will go, and
for sure we can't trust him because he had too
yeah,
much things, but whatever.
a
Yeah,
bit of
but I mean, also feel like if you're actually a Jedi, you wouldn't just sit and hide and
mm,
watch the Empire. You would join the fight. But then if you gave up the ways of the Jedi, then you could
yeah,
survive.
which I mean is part of the tactic that the Inquisitors, or even before that, Vader and the clone troopers used. They usually put out like rescue beacons. I mean, this is like lore
Yeah.
from the Dark Lord novel,
Or I
but
mean, in
for me,
Rebels too, right?
well, oh yeah, right. This
With
was one of the
Luminara.
things that I really liked about it. I had forgotten about it. That I mean, not only did they lay the trap with Luminara and her actually being dead, but they also had like a freighter where it was like I don't remember. Was it like just was it Jedi, or was it just a rescue beacon but a fake one? Actually, I
Yeah.
think it was just a rescue beacon, but, like,
Yeah.
yeah, so the ghost crew came there, but, it was fake, it was a trap, and then, like, a cruiser, Imperial light cruiser came out of hyperspace. Like, that really ties into things from, like, the Dark Lord novel, which is not canon, but, like, it is really good, and it makes a lot of sense.
Hello.
And they're, like, Vader and, like, specifically it's early on, so mainly, like, the clone troopers and, like, the new Imperial fleets, would put out like, those rescue beacons, and at that time specifically, Jedi rescue beacons, because they knew, the Jedi are still like on the run, they're not hiding yet. So the
Yeah.
chances of some trying to rescue others is pretty high. And that's also how they just killed so many Jedi after Order 66, just because of, Jedi, helping others. That's,
Yeah.
yeah, so really like that.
Anyway, we went a bit off topic.
A bit.
Let's talk about the next one, which is my favorite. So, Hera. And yeah, I remembered that I really liked her, and I still really liked her. So, overall, very good.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, what we kind of said earlier already, I really think Kara's a great character because, like, she has specific things she's good at. She's a very good pilot, she's a good leader, and she's just, good at holding the family together in that sense.
Yeah.
But also just very level-headed. Um, but her main weaknesses probably are when she doesn't, when she's not confident in herself, or if
Yeah.
something happens to her family, then things start breaking apart. um
Yeah.
and that's how to get her. But yeah, she feels like a very grounded character. um
Yeah. And she's very good at stuff, but she's not like Sabine level of OP. And I mean she's also older and she has the experience and stuff, so it just makes sense. She's very
yeah,
competent.
but I mean, really, she doesn't glow up as being very good at something,
No.
except when she's flying, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's a specific thing she's just really good at, but
Yeah.
everything else is like, average,
Yeah, but I mean she has like clearly a big passion for flying,
yeah.
and then she's like good military leader as well. And or in general leader. I mean, not just when it comes to military stuff, but
Oh, no.
yes.
Yes. Oh, and I triggered Charlie. Charlie,
Mhm.
I got it. I gotta bring it. It's always canon. You got it. Yep.
Yeah, and I do like her and like Kanan together. They're like good, and
Yeah.
as a Firebird. Yeah, I mean, the order is gone, so yeah. And I mean, in Legends, Luke also had kids and stuff. So anyway,
Anyway,
yeah. So I mean, I like those two. They it's sort of just, and you also get to see them sort of arguing and but then like resolving everything always, and
yeah.
just in very nice, sort
Yeah.
of like very wholesome.
No, yeah, really. Just pretty wholesome. Yeah. It's like a good example of, like, one being frustrated about something and maybe not even talking about it at first, but then the other one, not judging them too hard in the grand scheme of things. Obviously, then probably in the moment, but then
Yeah.
afterwards, like, sort of, being persistent and trying to resolve what happened. So that's also nice to see. Back to
Back
the
to
topic.
topic.
You got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Um, Clone Rebels Hera was amazing in getting that one in Bad Batch. Yes, I mean, like, yeah, I think Hera is one of my actually like all-time favorite characters, just in general.
Hmm.
Especially like out of female characters, she just seems very, I mean, strong, but in a way which makes sense.
Yeah. Well, or strong, but still feminine.
Yeah,
Like,
Kin and Hera should be your influences as a couple.
well,
Kanan could work on his attitude
yeah. Although,
in the beginning, when
yeah.
he is
Although
blind,
it
then
was
it's
like, when was it? Like when, oh, he was like, I don't care. And I was like, I kind of do that sometimes.
yeah. I said like, oh, you're like Kanan, you do that, then you're like, oh,
Yeah.
true.
Uh,
You just said it in the exact same way and in
yeah, I
the
think also
exact same
tone-wise,
situation.
it was really
So
like, I don't care.
yeah.
I think it was something when Hera was talking to him about doing something with Ezra, and then he was just like, I don't care. Yeah. Anyway.
Yes. And then I mean I mean, Kanan and Hera's story ends very heartbreakingly, and but like Kanan gets to see her the also because his
Yeah.
like eyes
Oh,
clear.
which is
That's also something I didn't know or notice
yeah.
the first time watching. I don't think most people notice it, but like yeah, it's pretty
Yeah.
sad.
It's really like sort
Yeah.
of like he's like like pushed so to the edge by using all of his energy to try and like save them and like push away the fire that like I don't know, in my mind it almost like sort of forces all of his senses to sort of you know like take away that blindness, or the force itself is sort of like being like powered so extremely that he gets to use his eyesight again, which then after all I guess he did see her again
Yeah.
for a very brief moment and very tragically.
And very ugly outfit.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, and then they have a very ugly child.
Yeah, still not a fan of the child.
Yeah, we'll see. And then I think my last thing about Hera is that it just like watching this just makes me so sad about how she looks in live action. I mean, I don't know. I don't think I've said it anywhere like publicly, but I mean, Strike knows how much I've been like being like, no, why? Because she's just very pretty and she has those specific like features, like with the face shape. You can see it in this picture where it's sort of like from the side and sort of bigger like cheeks and lips, and then the nose going like sort of down like that, and then just in live action, and what's the actress name? I don't remember. I mean, she just doesn't have any of those features like at all. So
With
it's
green paint on it.
pretty much very sad for me.
Yeah, it's understandable. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see. I just already know that's going to bug me so much once Ahsoka comes out, but we'll take that when it comes. For now, I can enjoy her looking very pretty in in Rebel.
Whoa, 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 whoa! What happened here? uh, uh,
Mm.
um.
Oh,
Hey,
thank you,
listen. That
Stanley.
that comment was totally singular. No, no plural.
Watch out, Miss McGregor
Oh
will hear
gosh,
it.
yeah.
I don't care. I don't care if you're married to Obi-Wan, you still don't look like Hera. That doesn't grant you special powers. Okay, but yeah, that was
Uh,
I think Hera for now.
yeah.
And then this
That's
goofy
a good
purple guy.
picture of Zeb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
that's Zeb when I when I go order 66 on some kids. That's his expression. Anyway, um
Okay.
um
Yeah, so Zeb, I mean I also
digress.
oh, then you have chosen the low
The
ground.
low ground.
You underestimate my power. Yeah.
Nah, I
Anyway.
mean I see it.
Yeah, so Zeb, I
Zeb.
remember being really annoyed with him the first time I watched. Like I had this image that he's just really annoying and I don't like him at all. But I mean, I think he's pretty good, especially for the sort of type of character he is, where he's like this big, strong guy. He's not like dumb, which I like because
Yeah.
that's usually the stereotype. So yeah, I like him, and I like his like bond with Ezra and how they first are very annoyed with each other. They have a very like brotherly bond, I would say.
Yeah, by the
So
end. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
No, I
and he
agree.
also has the obviously background with like the Lasat world like falling, and him being one of was it like honor
The honor
guard?
guard. He was the
Yeah, honor
captain
guard.
of the honor guard who were like
Yeah,
protecting the palace or like of the royal family.
yeah.
Yeah.
Zeb's a lot like Wrecker. Yeah, they're like the same type of character, like the big strong guys, but the
Yeah, only
difference here
Zeb
is
is
that
not
Wrecker is
stupid.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, Wrecker's just outright stupid
Yeah,
sometimes.
he fits
Like
the like the
stereotype.
stereotype like
Yeah.
spot on where
No, I
he's
agree. Like
yeah.
Zeb really breaks out of that stereotype in that way because like he can also still come up with his own plans and stuff and
Yeah.
adjust to situations.
He
Like,
can be a
obviously, he's
leader.
using his strength in that planning too, like, he's aware of it, so but yeah, no, I really liked it. It's like, I mean, also, that's where I do appreciate, the Ralph McQuarrie, inspiration because it's
Yeah.
like the original, or like first draft design for Chewbacca.
Yeah, I'm glad
So
Chewbacca doesn't look like that.
yeah, no, I'm glad too, but like as a different species, like
Yeah,
I like it, and
yeah,
I'm happy about that one being translated well into live action at
yeah,
least. Um, but yeah, I mean, yeah, not too much more to it, but yeah, really enjoyed Zeb overall.
yeah. He was like a no, what was it? Honor guard. Was
Honor
that what it
guard,
said? Yeah,
but of the royal family. Yeah,
yeah, and I like how they sort of talk about that. Then once he meets the other Lasat, where they're like, oh, they're like being like, oh, thank you and stuff, and he's like, I don't deserve this. Like I
yeah,
failed and sort of stuff like that.
yeah. Really, like just like being very harsh on himself.
Yeah.
But yeah, also yeah.
Good old Seb, I was like meh at first, but by the end of it was like, if he dies, brothers, you all die. Yeah.
If he
No, I think
dies,
he's
you die.
he's like pretty also in a way wholesome. Like he's just funny in his reactions and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, the episode
Mm,
with, I mean, obviously Callus having like been there at Lasat when Empire came there and stuff. Obviously, there's like the whole thing with that and him having like a bow rifle as well. And
yeah.
I mean, this episode is the one where Callus pretty much like is
Turns.
starting to rethink his life.
Yeah, really.
He goes home home and rethinks his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else about Sam?
Um,
He has
no.
an ugly face according to the puff pigs.
Oh, yeah. No, they're all scared of him. Yep. Very frightening.
Yes. But I think that was Zeb, maybe.
That was it. Yep.
Very solid, and actually, yeah, I do like him now. He is like third after Ezra in my ranking of the Ghost Crew. Then we have this one.
The overpowered girl.
Yay! So we already talked about this a little bit, but essentially she's just good at everything. She has a bit of a temper, I guess that's her only like sort of bad thing, but it's
Yeah.
not really that bad either. So
I mean, it doesn't really give her a disadvantage ever because it's usually just being pissy to others.
yeah, that's true. And like I'm not
So,
saying that, this character can be strong. I mean, she's a Mandalorian, obviously she should be, but it just doesn't make her relatable, doesn't make her like interesting. Like the thing about her is obviously her past with like that she was sort of abandoned by her family and her people, but the whole thing just doesn't make sense because we are supposed to believe that she was like in the academy as I don't know how old. Then she
yeah.
built this machine that's like crazy machine, and then she left, and
And then
then
she became a bounty hunter with
yeah,
that other
ketchup girl, and then
ketchup.
and then she was joined the like ghost crew. So like how much like do you have time to do stuff? And then she also learned a bunch of languages. She's an explosive specialist. She's like an amazing artist and
Yeah.
really good at fighting too,
Yeah.
which is just like, I mean, I know people like this in real life who are really good at a lot of stuff, but I think the thing that just takes it over the edge is like her building the Duchess, which is like the thing that will targets like best car, and then
Which
it
is
makes
very
it disappear,
it's
which
a
is
very
just like
stupid concept to begin with. I will say that's probably the only thing where I'll give Dave a big L
yeah,
on writing that because that is just so blown out of the water, that weapon system.
yeah,
Because not only is it just absolutely OP, and it doesn't necessarily even make sense, but it
yeah,
also just breaks any combat situation. I mean, I guess it's
yeah,
destroyed now, but really, I don't think it was. I mean, since they also have not mentioned it at all in Mandalorian ever, I do feel like they might have been aware that that was a bit of an oopsie idea.
They're like wiping it under the rug a little bit, like,
Yeah,
yeah,
kind of
let's
like,
not
yeah, that
talk
was
about
a
this
thing.
one. Yeah, because it's just stupid. And I mean, then when they go and destroy it, she like presses a couple buttons, and then now it targets like stormtrooper armor. Like,
Which that makes less
okay,
sense than
yeah,
Beskar because Beskar at least is like metal, and even
yeah,
with alloy, it has those, the alloy of Beskar.
yeah,
But I mean, Stormtrooper armor is literally just plastoid. Like it's not
yeah,
Clone Trooper armor that has like a layer, like sort of also like sort of I guess like an alloy of Dura steel in the armor. They don't. It's just
yeah,
plastoid, literally. So that should not, be able to be electrified or whatever or anything. So
yeah. But I mean, at least I like more that you can sort of, I don't know, like make them not be able, or like what is the word when someone is like laying on the ground and not being able to do anything?
right, I mean that would
Incapacitated
be
or what?
something, but I mean it would definitely not disintegrate them
Yeah,
because even though that's a comment with Vader, I mean that's a specific device, like for instance the Amon phase pulse rifle, and it's very complicated. It's very much that it's not OP because it's usually one shot or one whatever, charge, and then it's over.
yeah,
Like you can't mass destruct people. Like that's just,
yeah. And
and then
then
the
I
Death Star
also
comes along.
find it hard to believe that the Empire didn't like copy the blueprints of this machine or whatever. And then also, if this technology, if you're able to do something like this, like how is she the only one who can create this machine? Like,
Yeah,
it's just stupid.
yeah.
They never really fleshed out her character much past Rebels. I was expecting them to give her a little cameo in Mandalorian, but nothing. I mean, we like in Ahsoka in the trailer, it seems like she kind of gave up in a way, and then Ahsoka comes and finds her, and then she's like, "Okay, let's find Ezra."
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah,
But yeah, overall, I think, yeah, there are just a few things that if you go back in the lore of Mandalorians, it just doesn't all match up that great.
yeah,
I think the only Mandalorians I consistently liked until they got wiped out were the Protectors of Concord Dawn. Those were like the only Mandalorians that acted like Mandalorians, and they got fucking killed. Like they were, not fighting the Empire. They were sort of, telling the Empire,
yeah,
"Yep, sure, like we won't help rebels, but like, we'll keep it to ourselves, and like we're gonna follow along with our Mandalorian ways. We're gonna keep our armor, our ships, everything. But yeah, sure, like we won't join the rebels. Good deal."
yeah,
But like, yeah, like Gar Saxon makes sense. I do like that aspect because he seems like exactly that kind of character who would just follow to the next sort of big leader and be the
yeah,
pawn. But all of these other clans, having this weird pro Empire attitude, and I mean,
yeah,
not necessarily even, but just, not like they're always saying like, "Oh, it's the way of the Mandalorians to fight," but then you're bowing down to the Empire. That makes no sense.
yeah. But wasn't there like something with Clan Ren where they sort of after she like betrayed them because she made this machine because the
Yeah, she fell into
Empire dared
dishonor
to dared her to,
and
and
like,
then they were like, "Okay, we will do what
yeah.
you want now." Or I don't know. It was just
Well,
very
the way they explained it, or I mean, it's not really an explanation, but the way they explained it was that once like Sabine, ran away, like they fell into dishonor, and then her brother had to join the Imperial Commandos to gain a bit of honor, so
oh
that
yeah,
the other
okay.
clans wouldn't destroy Clan Ren. But
But
if they're all for the Empire already, first of all, why didn't the Empire just like want like have them give them a few Mandalorian young men and women to be commandos in the first place? Why is that like a thing that only comes in when it's like dishonor? Like there are just a few things that make not a lot of sense.
yeah, and then also I guess about Sabine, I don't really like her. like sort of armor and stuff because she's missing a lot of pieces, and then it just yeah. But I guess the colorfulness. I mean, it's her character, so I'm giving it a pass. But yeah, she's not really my favorite. But also, she's not like destroying it for me. Like she's still okay.
Yeah,
She's just like. But it was pretty funny when we were watching. We were like, "Oh, so she can speak Aqualish too? Okay. Oh, so she can like I don't know. But she's a really good pilot too. Okay,
yeah.
yeah." Oh, hello. Yes, Rebels is very good indeed. But I mean, yeah, I guess that's Sabine.
I think that's it for Sabine. Yeah.
Yeah. Then we have Chopper,
Sure.
and I know a lot of people really love this droid for some reason. I mean, I can see it, but like from my first time watching, I remember that I really didn't like him like at all. Now I think he's okay, but I still like. Well, I don't like that he kills other droids or like tries to
When
destroy
they're
them and
very
stuff.
nice, like that one astromech.
Yeah, and then he's just like poof, dead.
Yeah.
And then also he can sometimes be a bit overbearing with his like tricks and
Mm,
trolling essentially.
yeah. I mean, I even said like a few times, like if I was part of the Ghost Screen, if I was a Mandalorian, I would have shot that droid a long time ago. Like, sort of like I can't handle it anymore.
Yeah, but I mean
No,
I don't
overall,
mind him. I
yeah.
mean he's
Well,
funny too.
he's all right. Like, I'm
Yeah.
also like not as crazy about him as a lot of others.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
like he's okay for the Ghost Crew. Like,
Yeah, and like sort of his connection to Hera also I really like
yeah, that's
how
true.
he's really important to her. Oh, that's I really like. And yeah, and then also is it AP5 the internet like the
Yeah,
droid? Like that droid I really like, and
yeah,
him and Chopper together is really funny.
that's
I really
true.
like those two. It's like a bit sassier version of C3PO and R2.
Yeah, no, definitely.
More
Yeah.
spice.
Right. No, I like that too. No, I mean Chopper, while being a bit mean at times, like he also has his moments when, for instance, like then actually feeling some loyalty for AP5 and trying to save him,
Yeah.
um,
Bye. Thanks for stopping by.
and to obviously he does like his crew. I mean, there's no doubt
Yeah.
about it, but he can give kind of a hard time sometimes.
Yeah. I relate to like Ezra and Seb like running
Yeah.
around after
No,
him all the time.
I feel that too. Yeah.
Yeah. War criminal. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. The murder
Dave
machine. Yeah.
Filoni was, and actually there was a couple of stormtroopers that had like clearly it was Dave who voiced
Oh,
them.
yeah. We
You're like,
noticed.
that's that's Dave, right?
Yeah. No, they
Like,
were a
yep.
surprising amount, and I think it was supposed to be, the same character because it was always those 2 stormtroopers on usually, I think, Lothal,
Yeah.
and usually those were the 2 ones that, like, either like, at one time with the TIE Defender base, like, they like, Ezra used the Lothcat to, like divert their attention, and then the Lothcat like attacked one of the stormtroopers, and then both of them like ran after the Lothcat, and then like after like everything goes down, the base is like blowing up. You see them like running like really far away from the base, and then they're like,
Yeah.
ah, right, this is it. We should go back, and then like they turn around and see that. So yeah, that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and I'm noticing like some of these comments like show up way later, so I'm sorry if I'm like missing some stuff. Like they don't show up when they're supposed to. But yeah,
Which
which
oh
season or episode is your favorite of the Rebels? And honestly, I can't say like one specific episode because they sort of all are connected. But from like seasons, I can say season one. I mean, we said in the beginning, our order is like 1, 2, 4, 3.
yeah, I mean
Yeah,
for
I would
me
agree with
honestly
that.
too, like yeah,
Yeah,
season one favorite. I just really like the pacing and everything, and season 2, I think is
close
also just
behind.
very good. But yeah, and then season 4, so the last season, and the last one would be season 3 for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that was Chopper
Yeah.
probably. Oh, and also, one thing that how quickly they paint him, like to go undercover. Like Sabine is just like, "Let's give you a paint
He's
job," and
like
they're about to land on the place. Like, okay, sure, she's a speed painter too.
speed painter.
Anyway,
Yeah,
then we have
callous.
Callus, and out of the original characters in Rebels, he's probably my second favorite because he just has a really really good arc and it's yeah well done, and he's like very smart, which I always appreciate in characters. So yeah, very
Yeah.
good.
No, I think it's a very good version of like someone in the Empire who's genuinely working for the Empire, and
Yeah,
then along the way because of his experiences with, the rebels and specifically Zeb kind of shows him the bond and the loyalty they share between each other that clearly Callus is not getting from the Empire. Like they don't really give two shits about him. But
yes,
yeah, no, I also really like Callus. And yeah, as you said, very smart, especially once it comes to when he's like working then for the rebels as Fulcrum.
yeah,
That's, I think, when he gets the most intriguing because like you really see how he's
yeah,
trying to keep his cover as long as possible. And even once it's blown, he still acts very smartly and like actually manages to escape.
yeah,
So yeah,
and it makes a lot of sense.
and then even after he left the Empire or escaped, then he's still being shown as like a big asset because obviously he knows how the Empire works, so he
Yeah,
can give his like his
expertise.
feedback to specifics to missions
Yeah,
about like attacking convoys or something. So
yeah, it just sort of it makes very much sense that he is like the second fulcrum, and then also like he's able to sort of go under the radar even with Tron for, I mean, I
good
would say
amount,
quite a bit considering it's Tron. So
right?
yeah, I
Yeah.
would say that's pretty good. Yeah,
Yes.
and I'm very happy that he's like alive and a rebel. And I mean, it's also sort of nice that he gets to see that he didn't, kill all the Lasat, that they are living on that weird force planet still. Because I mean, you'd probably feel a bit bad if you were part of
Yeah.
like a genocide of an entire species. So
Yeah. No, I mean
yeah,
that's for sure. And I mean I also like that in the end, I guess what do you even call that? Epilogue, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I mean, they specifically say like um, that Zeb took him to that planet to show him that he didn't kill,
yeah,
everyone, or that he wasn't. I mean, he didn't kill everyone, but he wasn't responsible for killing everyone.
yep,
Yeah. No, overall, just a very good character.
yep. I agree. Then we have the Grand Inquisitor, and I put in my notes, he okay.
He okay. What
No, I mean, I don't know, I like him. But
I
honestly, I don't remember that much
I
because
think to this
it
day,
was
the
season
Grand
one.
Inquisitor is in Rebels the only one that ever got something productively done as an inquisitor out of all of the inquisitors. I think he's the
Yeah,
only one because like,
I guess.
well, I mean, he doesn't, he's not responsible for some of the failings. Like for instance, like when he actually manages to capture Kanan, like he captures
Yeah,
Kanan, it's not his fault then in the end why Kanan is able to escape.
yeah,
And overall, I just thought that, I mean, first of all, he has a serious, demeanor about him. He's not joking around. They give him enough threatening moments that make clear that he is competent and that he
yeah,
is, efficient. And I mean, as you said in the beginning, like he kills two of those officers for Tarkin. Lucius Malfoy. What? And he actually looks like a Powan.
yeah. Sure. Not an egghead.
not an egghead. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like the way he dies, where he's like, there are worse things to fear than death or
Mm,
something. Where he's like, yeah, I don't want to face Vader after this one.
yeah.
I just take the L and just
Take
jump
the
into the
L.
fire.
Grand Inquisitor left left the chat. Ugh.
Yeah, no, like out of all of the Inquisitors, I think he's the only one that I actually kind of like and is kind of interesting. The other
Also with
ones
his
are kind of,
background of being a temple guard.
yeah, that's that too. Yeah,
Yeah. Which
yeah.
also then goes to also went a long way in like teaching Kanan some things, like in the temple.
I only want to survive Lord Vader boot camp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. There are
I mean, yeah,
far worse things than death. Yeah,
yep,
yeah. But no, I mean overall, I just think well done. Very good. Sort of side antagonist, or I shouldn't even say side antagonist. He's the main antagonist, really, in the ordered by Tarkin in that sense. But in terms of like Vader is the main antagonist, really overall,
yeah.
even if you don't see him. You know. Um, but yeah, I think well done.
Oh,
Oh, what?
I didn't know that. Interesting.
Ah, no, yeah, that's right. See, I had completely forgotten who voiced the Grand Inquisitor. No, that's true. Gotcha. Stanley's the MVP as usual. I would not
Yeah.
have expected anything less. um,
Oh, yeah, with Whirlpool, I do remember that. But yes, that was this. Let's move to the next one, which are these two goofballs.
the guy was about to say goofballs.
Seventh sister and fifth brother. I mean, honestly, they're I think they're okay.
They're okay. They're not bad at their job. They're also not good at it. I think the
Yeah,
seventh sister might be a bit more competent than the
yeah.
fifth brother, just because like she actually, is like a bit more tactical. Like the fifth brother is a bit more brute force, and I mean, at least in the rebels appearance, it makes sense. He looks very chunky, very beefy.
In
So
in Rebels, I think he
what? Like
looked
right here?
chunky. I don't think. I mean, he looks like muscular, but he doesn't look chunky. Like,
No, I mean, yeah, but like he's tall, he's big, like he's.
I guess.
I mean, compared to Kenobi, where he's small and fat.
Yeah. Yeah,
No
I
shame,
guess.
by the way, but it's just it doesn't look like what it looked like in Rebels.
Okay, and I'm looking up because I wanted to. Well, like, I really like the designs of these characters. It's probably my favorite part.
Mm.
Like they look cool. But I was trying to look up like what species he is because like right now I think or what I reminded or what I got reminded of was that he looks like the cage. Do you remember from the one episode with like young Boba and Azash and they were on that planet where like the princess got captured by the on the train.
Oh, you think eh, oh,
Like
like the ninja ones?
yeah, like they had this kind of
Oh, yeah.
gray sort of
No,
face,
that's
like stone
true.
looking. Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. That would be
Kanan
interesting.
Jarrus is my favorite Jedi. Sorry, I'll have to rewatch this later. Yes, no worries. Yes. We talked about him earlier, so yes, you can watch that later. Yes, appreciate you stopping by. But yeah, the what were we talking about? The cage, right? You know what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Can you like find it a picture of it so I can show it
Oh,
here?
sure.
Because those have not been used anywhere else except it was in the Inferno Squad novel. They were there, and yeah, they haven't really been, I don't think, anywhere else since. And I think they're really a really interesting species. So
Uh, okay, wait. Okay, I'll have to look into Disney Plus because if you look it up, they just have the ninja
what
masks.
did you look up?
What? Well,
I'll
Star
answer
like
some
Cage
comments here.
ninja.
The Inquisitor's Thai variant is great. I actually don't know what it looks like. I don't remember.
What? It's basically TIE fighter with those like roundish
Oh,
wings that
oh,
also
sort of
fold
like the
in.
advanced.
Well, it's like the advanced, but it's not as long. It's really almost like a TIE fighter. It has like those
Okay.
round side wings, but it also has, it flops them in, kind of like a Jedi
Oh, okay.
interceptor.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, I remember now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, hold on. Sorry, won't. Just will be a moment. Just a moment. Was that season
If you just
4?
search, uh,
No, but they only have their masks on. You want them
no, you
unmasked,
search
right?
cage species, you'll find it.
All right.
You spell cage with the K. Oh,
Is
Blue
that how
Boy
you
has
spell?
entered the chat. Hello, it's okay,
Who entered the chat?
Blue Boy.
Blue boy. Oh, hey, what's up, Blue? Da, 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 da. Ah, there we have one. Okay.
Are you sharing it?
Yes, give me a second. There you go.
Yeah,
I mean,
there. I mean, it doesn't really look the same, but because the art style is so
I
different,
was about
it's
to say, yeah. And I mean,
yeah,
also like
maybe
those
it's
guys are all like, very, ninjas.
yeah,
they're not trying to be like very muscular because you need to be agile. So, but I mean,
yeah,
the eyes and I mean the color scheme definitely. I mean,
yeah. But he looks.
but
Yeah, I
I
mean,
don't
it
I
could
don't
be.
think
I
it's
don't know.
or I mean, I see a few pictures where the fifth brother comes up here too. So, but I don't know if it's at the moment just assuming or if it's like
Yeah,
actual.
yeah. I
Yeah.
think we're
Okay.
on a bit of a side note here.
Yeah.
um, or something. Yeah, here, like as soon as Small shows up, how to use a saber stuff, not helicopter. Yeah,
Oh
like
yeah.
their lightsabers. I mean, the spinning in itself is like okay, whatever, but then like them sort of
Flying is.
flying, even though I mean they're not really flying, they're sort of just like gliding, I guess. I don't
Yeah,
know,
but
but it's still stupid.
still. Yeah.
And I think you said that they explained it by like that the atmosphere or something makes them able
It
to
was
do
like
that, or
something afterwards where I think there were some comments made where they were because like a lot of people, and I say really an overwhelming amount of people were like, that's kind of dumb.
yeah,
So like they kind of backtracked on it and were like, yeah, because of like the atmosphere and like, the air sort of being a bit more like uplifting or like, the gravity, I guess,
wind
isn't that
currents, I don't know,
crazy?
something.
Yeah, something like that. Um,
Which I'll give them a pass because just that one. But then now in Survivor, the one chunky
well,
Inquisitor also uses it, sort of.
nah, but it was a bit different. First of all, it wasn't high. It was just, jumping down. And she also had her one arm like this
Yeah, okay.
on the lower, so it looked more like she was doing the spinny move, but really stopping herself with the force.
Okay, I'll
But
use that as my headcanon.
yeah, because I mean, using the blade in itself to spin and fly is just stupid. Because I'll
Yeah,
remind everyone, um, laser doesn't weigh anything. So how would it get air traction? Like it makes
yeah.
yeah.
Bye bye, Lifestyle buddy.
See you,
Nice to
Charlie.
have had you here for a bit. Thanks for stopping by. And but yeah, I think we are moving on from these
Yes.
goofballs now. And then Ahsoka,
Ahsoka.
obviously not an original character. She's the only one, well, I guess, except Tron, kind
Right.
of.
I mean, there is a
Well,
there's a fair list.
no,
Lando.
I meant like that I included in this video. I mean, we have
Oh, yeah. Okay.
a bunch actually of, we have
Yeah.
like Leia, Lando,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan, Maul, but
Yeah.
she's the only one I wanted to include just because I wanted to say that I don't like the way she looks in in Rebels, but I think this second watch it didn't disturb me really at all. I just remember the first time I was like, I don't like this. Like, why does she look like this? It's mostly just
Yeah.
the face. She just doesn't have her features. So
Yeah. I mean, you said it yourself. You mentioned that she kind of like you and I mean, I see it sort of too. I think they were going for making her look like Ashley in
Yeah,
here.
yeah,
Is what
that's
you
what
said, and
it
like
looks
after
like
you
to
said
me.
it, I kind of see it too. Um, yeah, I mean, for me, it's like it's Rebels, so like for the art style in itself is like I
Yeah,
guess okay, but yeah, I mean, when I think about it, that we saw, Ahsoka as a grown up in Mortis, like, and knowing how she looked in there, I definitely prefer that version.
yeah. I mean, I don't know if I prefer that, but sort of a mix between this one and that one would have
Well, I
been
mean, in
probably the
Clone
best.
Wars, I don't know how well you remember, but it's pretty much like an in between of Ahsoka in Clone Wars and Shakti. It's pretty much an in
Yeah,
between.
I guess. Yeah, and also like the thing with her here is I feel like she feels a bit more like chunky in a way because she is supposed to be like very, I don't know, agile and sort of small. Where, but I mean that's just like all visual stuff. And as Blue said, great person to bring in, and they did it very well. I agree.
Yeah,
They definitely stayed true to the character, which I mean
yeah,
it's Dave's character, so I mean makes
right.
sense. And I mean, also, it just makes a lot of sense that she would be part of the rebellion early on. So,
Yeah,
yeah, I'd
yeah,
say just very good.
very well done. I agree. And also,
Yep.
like seeing the reunion with Rex,
Yeah.
that was
Even
very
though, why
nice.
didn't she go there herself? Like, or did she just? She was like, I can't wait to see what's gonna happen. Like, Kanan doesn't like
Yeah, I don't.
clones.
I mean, she kind of made that comment to Kanan. Like, she didn't tell him that it was a clone, that
She
Rex is
was
a
like,
clone.
trust him.
Like,
Like,
trust him. Yeah.
yeah,
Which, I mean, yeah,
yeah. But
yeah,
let's move on. So to the last one that we're going to talk about, which is Thrawn himself, and I mean, first time watching Rebels, I didn't. I knew that there was a character like this, but I had no idea about anything about him. Now I've read some of the canon Tron novels, but still some more stuff. So I feel like I have a better understanding of the character, and from my experience at least, I think they definitely did him justice. And like, I mean, yeah, like he's supposed to be this just very smart person when it comes to strategy and like stuff, and he has this appreciation for art and different cultures and stuff. And I've seen some complaints somewhere where it's like I don't like that he's always losing, but he really is not always losing. Like he is pretty much destroys their entire base on was it Atolon or what was it called?
Athlon, yeah,
Yeah, and really only because of one of his like other um, lower people doing a mistake and not listening to him, and then the Bendu like unexpected, like crazy force essence. Like that's the only reason why he doesn't win. So yeah,
yeah,
and same also with the final Lothal thing. Like space whales, who could have
yeah. The
like thought about
Purgils,
that one?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I think. I mean, I read. I haven't even read the canon Thrawn novels, but I read Heir to the Empire until Last Command,
Yeah,
and so I mean, I knew him from that. And I mean that there he's obviously it's post episode 6, so there is no empire anymore.
yeah,
So he has a lot more freedom. He's
yeah,
also pretty much the highest, person in the remnants of the empire. So it's a different situation, but I think for him being here in the time of the height of the empire, I think it works very well. I think it shows mainly what's later going to make him even more successful because here he's obviously held back in
yeah.
some places.
Like with
For instance,
the
like,
eye defenders.
well, I mean, for one, the people that he's serving with, some of the admirals, some of them
Yeah,
don't
well that too.
necessarily respect him either because they don't understand his strategic genius.
Yeah,
But also then things like, for instance, when the emperor says you need to come to a meeting, then he has to show up to that meeting, instead of guiding the battle himself. So
yeah.
there's a lot of like, those things that
And
he
then
later doesn't
as
have to deal with which make him even more, or actually like super efficient than later post episode 6. But I think it's
yeah,
still well done. And I mean, they draw a lot from those original novels, and like Also like that they included things like him getting mad at like an imperial officer for, being very like making rude comments about like the culture. I think it was on Ryloth.
Yeah,
Really mad at him, like even like, like grabs, his uniform.
yeah,
Because that is something that also happened in like Heir to the Empire, where he got mad at someone for, disrespecting like the culture and sort of, saying like, you know, you got to show respect, or you need to understand that culture to, fight it.
yeah. You have to understand your enemy to defeat them,
Yeah.
but also like because I mean he isn't like necessarily just bad. Like he's just he's doing what he believes is sort of
Well,
what he
I mean,
should
also
do,
if
or I
you
guess.
take even more into account, then Thrawn wasn't even in the Empire for the Empire.
Yeah, yeah,
Like there was a grander mission for him personally, where he was going to use, even without the Empire getting defeated, but he was going to use those assets to prepare his homeworld and the galaxy for that
yeah.
grander enemy.
I mean that's probably still what they are going for now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and you mean we are talking about Mitro Duro. Yes, that's exactly what I meant.
Yes.
And Tron had a fine art collection that would make Grievous jealous. Yep.
It was a lightsaber collection, though. I didn't see a
Oh,
lightsaber.
I mean Grievous also had like, in our guess, probably had more like Kalish stuff.
Yeah.
Ponkrell versus Tron. Ponkrell wins every time. He has the love of the clones on his side.
Yeah.
Yep. Tron,
Hmm.
is there anything else?
Not really. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in Ahsoka. I hope they do
Yep.
him well.
I think they will.
Yeah. One last thing though. I will say like the like I mean Lars, like his voice is just so perfect for this kind of
Yeah,
character.
it
It's
is.
like calm. It's sort of quiet, but yet it cuts through the air like butter. Like
Yeah, it's like
there's just a
powerful.
certain sharpness to it without sounding aggressive.
Yeah.
And
Yep,
I
very
mean
good
that's
casting.
yes, and I mean that's why I think we're all really happy that Laris returns in Ahsoka because of that. But also the music, like sort of that. I don't even know what you call it in English.
Yeah, I don't know either. It's an
Like
Oriel.
in German it's Auge.
Yeah, that's what I said also.
Yeah. So you guys know what I mean. But like the theme is just really iconic. It's kind of something that you haven't heard in Star Wars music before. But I really like it. It's honestly one of my favorite themes from Rebels.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
And
because
that
it
brings
what
us
am I
to
like I
like,
feel like it has this sort of
oh, yeah.
like navy or like, fleet
Yep.
uh theme to it. Yeah.
Yeah, because I did want to talk about the music in general. So now we're coming to just like general end discussion. We're already almost 1 hour 40 minutes, so we'll keep it sort of short. But yeah, the music, as you said, Tron's Tron's theme really stuck out to me. Like in the first time I heard it, I was like, "What? That's like so good! Like, how did I not remember this one?" And then also the fact that they use actual Star Wars themes. That was something we also
Yeah.
immediately were like, "Oh, what? They actually have like the Forest theme and like
Yeah.
other stuff in there too." Where it adds to it so much. Like that's just the power of music,
Yeah.
which like that's the one of the main things with Kenobi that just made it sort of fall like in
Flat.
places where it should really not have. Also
Yeah.
with like with the music, just you need that classic like or the iconic Star Wars music in because it just has the emotional like
Yeah.
weight, I
It
guess.
is Star Wars. I mean, really it just encapsulates the feel of Star Wars.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, but
especially like in the first seasons, they were using a lot of actual Star Wars music.
yeah. Yeah. No, overall, I really like those cues, and I mean, really just a lot of different ones, and like the correct ones for the characters. Like for instance, like also you heard the clone theme sometimes with
Yeah,
Rex, and for Ahsoka, obviously Ahsoka's theme. But yeah, no, I really liked it.
yeah. And they have like Kevin Kiner doing the music, and
Mm.
he's also doing the music for Ahsoka, so that's really good. And I mean, the only theme that I don't really like is actually like the main sort of rebels. The like happy like no, like their own, like this shows like at the end of every episode is like happy music. It's not
Yeah, they're
the
like. "Du-du-du-du-du-du-du."
no,
Oh,
it's like the rebels team, like not
yeah,
what?
like when the episode ends.
Yeah,
Yeah, like. Da, 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 da.
yeah, that one. I like
Yeah,
it's
okay, I
too.
just skipped. If it's still in there. What I. Yeah,
Yeah, okay, but like that specific like short
yeah,
one that plays like when they have the intro, like that one is just at many times it feels wrong because it's a bit too happy for what just happened.
I think that's why they skip it sometimes, or like
Yeah.
when it's like dark episodes, like then it's like, oh, there wasn't a happy, ending to it because like, oh, Kanan just died.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe not.
Yeah. And then my second point was that even though there was a lot of cameos, they all made sense. So like Hondo, Lando, Leia, C-3PO, and R2. Even that one when that one showed up, I was like, really, like, come on. But then it did sort of make sense
Yeah,
once we got like to the end of that arc. But like then I was thinking at some point like, okay, like how are all of these iconic characters like happening like to meet up or like cross paths with these people? But then I also was thinking like, well, I mean, it would be way less interesting if we just had like a random smuggler instead of Lando in here. So yeah, I
yeah,
don't mind it at all because usually I'm pretty against cameos because of many reasons. But here I think it makes sense. They make it make sense, and it's like not forced in there.
yeah.
And
Which
yeah,
I mean, we want to see those characters. It's not even like those like no actual Star Wars characters like OG characters are allowed to show up in stuff where there are
yeah,
new characters. It just needs to make sense and be done well. Like for instance, Mando season 2 walks a fine line of like having a lot of live action cameos, but it's still making sense and it's like really on the verge of that's still believable, at least for
yeah,
me. But I mean, we want to see those characters. I mean, I really enjoyed seeing Lando and Lando just being Lando.
yeah. They were all really well done. That's like
Yeah,
also obviously important.
yeah, exactly. So it's not like and then I feel like it's. I mean, obviously it is a cameo, but then it's not even a cameo if it's just it makes sense for the story.
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's just a Star Wars character that's in this time frame that happens to cross paths with them in a logical way. So
yep. And then my other point was that all the sort of weird stuff I remembered also always made sense, like except the helicopter lightsaber and then the Duchess machine.
mm,
Everything else, like even though it was a bit of a stretch sometimes, like with Laura San and Zeb's like planet, but like pretty much you were still able to be like, okay, I can accept this.
yeah, or like for instance, like I think for you a big one was the Purgle attack,
Yeah,
where like you have like a mission on the mining asteroid where they first encounter them, where they notice like that specific signal of the ghost or of any ship is like attracting them,
yeah,
and then they like in that final episode like Ezra doesn't tell them what it does, but he tells them what frequency to go on and fly
yeah,
around, and that makes or that attracts the Purgles, and that's why they come there.
yeah,
um, so even things like that, and I actually also had not I had forgotten about that aspect of the plan, but yeah,
Yeah,
so that
like
actually
just
made sense then.
I remember that they just kind of showed up, or Ezra was like, "Please, Bertram, come here." But but it actually, yeah, it made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then other point is that they were like surprisingly not scared to kill off characters, or like I mean, it's not to the extent of Clone Wars. Obviously, it's very far from that, but like there are. I mean, it's like also pretty just sad at times, and sort of
Yeah.
realistic in that way. Even though they're sometimes like Saw is like stunning uh, stormtroopers, where I'm like, okay, sure,
Well, I mean, that was one specific instance, though.
yeah, but still,
I mean, overall, they usually shoot everyone with actual blasters, so
yeah. Oh, we forgot about the whole like Geonosis thing with Saw, and that I was so mad at Saw. I was like, okay, now I really don't like Saw. I didn't like him like before that, but now I really don't like him,
yeah. I mean,
and that's pretty
he's
dark too.
really an extremist, but in that way, almost that like I mean, he's kind of a terrorist.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
is
obviously he's fighting the Empire, but if you look at it,
at
he's
any
really being a
cost.
terrorist.
Yeah. Yeah, that whole like Geonosians being extinct was pretty dark too. So I do give Rebels props for going there where when it's needed. So
Yeah.
and
Oh,
then hmm?
and one last thing about the Geonosis thing. I also really like the touch of click clack, like trying to communicate and like draws like the Death Star in the sand,
Yeah,
and then Rex is like, oh, he's trying to communicate a circle in a circle, and like you as as the viewer, you obviously know, oh, he's trying to tell him that the Geonosians were ordered to make the plans for the Death Star.
yeah,
And I mean, the Death Star was built in orbit of Geonosis for quite a while. Obviously, at that point, not anymore. But like he was trying to tell him that, and then they
yeah.
never found that out.
And then
But
they thought it was the egg, but yeah,
yeah, or
yeah,
no, then they at the end thought it was those like containers with uh, was it gas?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. But then
but
my
yeah,
last point is that like really the art style is what sort of drags it down, gives it a bit less points compared to other stuff, because the story is there, the characters are there, like everything's there, but just the art style is just like it's not bad. It's not like Resistance bad, but
yeah,
it's not anywhere as close to Clone Wars. I think mainly just, I mean, I appreciate that they like were inspired by Ralph McQuire and his work, but then like the
Rolf
really
who?
skinny lightsabers and stuff, but like, hmm?
Rolf McQuire,
Maguire. I don't know how to say his name.
Quarry,
Yes. What?
McQuarrie,
Oh, Macquarie. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
Bully McQuarrie.
maybe it was already covered, but I'm distracted. Ezra basically took different characters. You had long-haired street rat Aldin type and basket badass Ezra. What did you
Yeah, we
guys think
mentioned it in
about it?
the beginning, his character arc.
Yeah, I mean that's just sort of his change. Just like signifies him sort of
Yeah,
growing up from that like selfish, only caring about his own survival to then caring
yeah,
about everyone else.
being a very loyal and family-driven person. Yeah. No, I mean, it just shows how he grew up and sort of the teachings he took with him. Yeah, it's a very well done character arc.
Yeah,
Um,
and and the whole Geonosis thing also. I'm surprised. Like, I think you said it when we were watching, like how they can make us feel like empathy for the Geonosians who were like disgusting, like ant. I don't know, like weird
yeah,
insects. And
yeah.
yeah,
I'm like one of the most pro clone trooper people like ever probably, but even I was like, yeah, man, I kind of feel bad for him, I mean, getting it's kind of that, like, you're fighting your enemy, but then something really fucked up happens to your enemy, and then you're kind of like, damn, I mean, that was a bit harsh. Like,
look what Wither let's
mm,
say, and a few years later when the ghost was a scarf, they were like, "Oh
Yeah,
crap,
they
that
were like,
was the
"Oh shit,
circle in
that
the
was the
circle."
circle in the circle."
Ah.
That would be so funny if, like, there was, like, a small skit where, they find out about the Death Star and then Rex is just in the back like, "Oh shit." That's what
Yeah,
what he meant. Yeah,
yeah. And then, yet back to my last point, like, yeah, the art style definitely kept me from watching the show for a long time. I think that was like same with me. Like, I watched Clone Wars way before Rebels because it just sort of looks more childish in a way. You kind of assume that it's more for kids because of, the bright colors and like just the more cartoony sort of features and stuff. But
yeah,
which is very unfortunate because it has so much good stuff. And as we're speaking, I'm thinking of more and more things I want to bring up, but I think we should start ending this one. So,
maybe. Yeah, no, but I agree, like, I mean, I watched it or I mean, it was, like, on television, like, there was no Disney Plus at the time. And like it was technically an exclusive for Disney XD, which I mean
yeah,
that's not a thing anymore, but it
yeah,
also like then like way sort of after or like in very big, spaces like they would air those episodes too on normal television. And so I watched it there, but sometimes you missed an episode. So I
yeah.
think my first watch of everything was very, had a lot of, holes, a lot of cheese holes. Um but, yeah, at that point, I had watched all of Clone Wars except season 7, obviously. That didn't exist yet. But, yeah, I mean, I obviously had the attitude of I wanted to watch everything, but I think I would have definitely enjoyed it more if it was Clone Wars. Also just because, I mean, Clone Wars has a more desaturated look to it. It's animation, but it's a bit more oriented to what the prequels looked like in that sense.
Yeah, and then
And
just
I
like
mean,
the light work is very nice.
right. Yeah. And I mean, this is also not necessarily, I mean, this is really, that Rolf McQuarrie art style. It's like, not trying to mimic like the OT or like that sort of thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't mind it as much now anymore, but yeah,
Yeah, once you know it's good, then it's okay. But like from
right.
just seeing it and not knowing, then you know.
Mm.
And but yeah, one thing you were saying, like watching it on TV, like all the stupid like cuts for the ads are so
Oh,
annoying. I hate
yeah.
them. It was really ruining my day at some points where it was like, oh, and there's an ad cut, great.
Yeah. It was really obvious. And I was thinking like, holy shit, I was suffering through ads like every 10 minutes. Like because there are like I think one or two ads per episode. And I mean the
Yeah,
episodes aren't even
I
that
think
long.
too.
So I'm just like, how did I even I think that is part of my initial bad experience with Rebels. And
Yeah,
such a shame
probably.
because I think obviously, like, when I was like more at my grandparents' place, like me and my grandpa usually watched a lot of stuff, and like he at some point said like once the ads were like getting really long, like you almost like 30 minutes, it felt like it was like, yeah, I mean the ads are so long, like by the end of it, you already forgot what you were watching in the first place, and I mean I feel like that definitely impacts the experience. So
Yep, it does.
yeah,
First impressions are important. Art style is very important. Yeah, I agree. That's honestly like the one thing that's really holding Rebels back. And I don't think it's going to sort of be more appreciated as we go because Clone Wars, I mean, obviously got better when, the technology improved, but here it just stayed the same because it is like a stylized thing.
right,
Just like with the original Clone Wars, like 2D, it's like the Tartakovsky. I mean, it's like drawn and it's very stylized. And I mean, that's also why I prefer the other stuff over that
yeah.
one. It just has a specific style, and then if you don't like it, then you don't like it. Like,
Right. Yeah, there are just some things that then like sort of yeah, like can distract you. Like for instance, like I really like the original Clone Wars just because it's drawing from a lot of like original lore, like Labyrinth of Evil
yeah,
and that sort of stuff. Like I like that OG feel to the storytelling. Um but yeah, then for instance, having like a bazillion starfighters, out of a small hangar, then I'm like, or like it's more extreme with the gunships, like a million gunships, and I'm like, any more, or was that it? Yeah, no,
Yes.
but yeah, that's obviously the stylizing of that.
Yes. But yeah, I think that is pretty much it. I mean, obviously, I think we could go on for a while.
Oh yeah,
Rebels, there is a lot to talk about it, and I have really enjoyed like going back to something like this where we actually really enjoy it and where we
yeah,
recently rewatched it. So definitely, I will do more of this kind of stuff in the future. But next week, I will have a bit of a rant on YouTube live about something that's happening currently with YouTube being very stupid about stuff. But you'll see next week on Wednesday. And then tomorrow there will be a video still from our London trip where we go to different Star Wars filming locations, and I think you will all like that one a lot. It's pretty interesting. But yes, I mean, obviously, very big thank you to everyone who has been watching here live and everyone who is also rewatching. Really, really appreciate it a lot. And everyone who's been commenting, everyone who hasn't, I still think about you and I appreciate you. And yeah, I hope I will see you again soon live. And also go follow Strike. He does Star Wars. He's not uploading anything right now because he's lazy. But yes.
yeah. I will get my ass up soon.
And unfortunately, we haven't gone to Hoth yet, but that's on my bucket list. I will visit that place one day.
Yeah.
But yes, I think we are ending it now. And can you please dance for us a bit, Strike? This is just so that the
Don't
stream
make
doesn't
me
cut
stand
off
up.
at a bad point. Yay! Star Wars, yay!